And now to our interview segment. My guest, Mr. Ayuli Jemide, is a highly regarded corporate and commercial lawyer. He served as a consultant on the World Bank's Nigeria Public-Private Partnership Project and has led notable transactions like the Lagos State Blue Line, the Warri Industrial Park, to mention a few. He was named Best Lawyer Nigeria 2013 by World Finance, and in June of the same year, the president appointed him as a non-executive director of the Central Bank of Nigeria for a 4-year term. In this interview, we talk about the Nigerian business environment and it proffers suggestions that can help improve businesses and ultimately the economy. Nigeria has been rated as one of the worst countries to do business in. In fact, a 2014 Africa survey report says Nigeria is not among the world's top 60 countries to do business in. The World Bank even ranks us 175th, mostly because of inconsistent government policies, multiple taxation, and the slow pace of justice in Nigeria. Now, as a lawyer with special focus on business law, what would you suggest for reforms, especially for the incoming administration?
I think the key thing that we need to take home is that different reports have their different indices. And sometimes it's good to drill down and find out how they arrived at those conclusions. Now, if you take the World Bank Index, for example, it rates Nigeria as 170, whereas our neighbors, Ghana, are number 70 on the Ease of Doing Business Index, according to the World Bank. But when you drill down and find out what the World Bank takes into cognizance, the World Bank actually goes from state to state, picks a few states, and we look at things like, how much time it takes for land transfer, and a few other things, right? So, or how much time it takes to incorporate a company, Now, for land transfer, for example, you may have, if in that year they picked a state where it was difficult to get governor's consent, in some states it could take you up to a year, right? Then definitely, it will affect your index negatively. So both the things they pick, right? 1, 2, or 3 things they pick and say these are the things we want to focus on, and then whether they're focusing on it on a federal level or they're going state by state, those are the things that we need to look at. Now, I'm not saying that Nigeria is the easiest place to do business, but what I'm saying is, sometimes, the indices fail in the way they look at it. But having said that, there are a few things that we still need to do. I think Nigeria is perhaps, one of the few countries left in the world where you can't check whether a name is available for company registration online, where you can't register your company online, for example, where you can't file things online. People still have to go to Abuja to go and physically file a form from CO7 or whatever they call it now, to show that directors have changed. Okay. So I think that things like that still need to be looked at. I know that in the last few years, things like being able to get a visa on arrival, the government has been looking at it, and right now you can get a visa on arrival, but it's still not as efficient as it should be. But having said that, I think the key thing for this government will be to address the infrastructural challenges that affect our business environment. Number 1 is electricity, right? An average business is an independent power producer. Every business, from the hairdresser to the law firm to the manufacturing sector, we are all, IPPs, producing our own power at different levels. So that, for me, is number 1. And the statistics show that the cost of generating your own electricity is, it increases the cost of doing business in Nigeria by about 30 to 35%. So if, that can be solved, not only would it increase efficiency, but it will bring down costs of goods and services significantly, and it will increase the per capita income of the average Nigerian, because if you think about how much people spend, diesel in their homes and running their businesses, if that is taken away, that will be more money to do other things.
Since the fall of the price of petroleum in the international market, the Nigerian economy appears to have fallen into some sort of crisis. What we find now is that some governments at all levels are failing to meet their obligations, such as paying salaries. And some people say that this has been attributed to a lack of savings when the price was high. Do you think that we need a law to compel the executive to save so that we don't fall into this kind of situation again?
You actually do have a law in place. The law that sets up the Nigerian Sovereign Wealth Fund and the NSIA, basically, it's a law that compels, Nigeria to put aside some money, for savings, for infrastructural development, and I think there's one other wallet under that act, right? So, that law is there in place. I think that, the NSI fits the bill of an agency that will help Nigeria to save for the future. But, that board is only 2 years old, right? So it takes time to, keep putting money in there and grow the money. But there are many ways to save money, right? And people think that the only way to save money is to put money aside. But I think a more efficient way to save money is to avoid wastage. Because no matter how much you put aside, if your overheads are bloated, right, your overheads will constantly grow to meet your savings, right? So if you employ 10,000 people, when you could have run your business with 1,000 people, right? At the end of the day, you will pay pensions for those people. Salary increases will come every now and then. You will keep matching their salaries to catch up with inflation and things like that. So I think that first and foremost, we run a very, very expensive government. Local government, state government, federal government, National Assembly, 2 houses, House of Reps, Senate, ministers, minister of state, and then all the paraphernalia that comes with them, PA, the PA to the PA, the SA, it's expensive. And the reality is that if we are able to get those people to get into the real sector and do more productive things, start a business, you understand, we will grow the GDP, and, they will be contributing to the cash flow as opposed to, milking the coffers. That for me is something that we need to look at. I also think that the falling oil prices is a blessing in disguise.
Really?
Yes. Because for the last 20 to 30 years, everybody has been paying lip service to the fact that we need to diversify our income. And then everybody has been paying lip service to the fact that we had income before we found oil. And what has happened to the granite pyramids? What has happened to cocoa? What has happened to palm oil? What has happened to those things that, were, our staple crops and our sources of income before we discovered oil?
So this now forces us to step back
yes,
and take another
we've been paying lip service to it. Each time you read newspaper, you hear about diversifying the economy, but nobody will, So this, and what I think will happen, my own thinking is that oil prices will eventually, go back to 100 and above 100. It may take time, right? if you trace the history of oil prices, this has happened before. There's always a season. You know, it drops, it goes up, it drops, it goes up. But I think that if that happens in a couple of years, and we've been able to diversify our income, then, you know, we would have a bonus. Because, you know, then, you know, oil prices have gone up, so you can cream up from that, and at the same time, you know, you've increased your agricultural output and all that. And I think that agriculture is the lowest hanging fruit for the incoming administration.
Now, my next question is, what are lawyers doing, you know, to help Nigerians have a better economy?
I will speak about the part of the legal landscape that I belong to that is working, you know, on this. As you know, we have the Nigerian By Association, which is the umbrella body for all the lawyers. Now, beneath the Nigerian By Association, you have different sections, which houses different interest groups. So you have the section on business law, which is one of the sections birthed by the Nigerian By Association. And the section on business law is, you know, a hub for all the commercial lawyers and all the business lawyers, you know, where we meet and trash out our issues, and we have an agenda as a section. Now, under the current chairman, Mr. Asuegodalo, one of the things that we've decided as a council to do is to engage regulators and policymakers a bit more, and to have a voice in, you know, what happens regarding policies and regulations and laws, particularly those policies and laws that affect our business environment, which ultimately affect, you know, our work environment as business lawyers. So this year we have our annual conference between the 7th and the 9th of June. And the theme is regulators as catalysts for economic growth. You can see that, you know, in line with the thinking of council, we've decided to zero in on regulators and engage them and see how, you know, we can work with them in a synergistic manner, you know, and contribute to their work in a way that over the years we'll be able to say, you know, we helped to do this or that, and it affected the ease of doing business positively, right? So this conference, you're going to have the key regulators there in many of the sessions, from the Corporate Affairs Commission to NIPC to the Shippers Council to the CSCS that works on the capital markets, you know, and a host of others. So you know, we think that if we start to have a conversation with regulators, yeah, we'll have FIRS there talking about tax issues, and yes, revenue service will be there. You know, so we think that if we constantly engage regulators and know what the issues are, and we can also tell them from a client and business lawyer standpoint that, you know, there are loopholes here and there that need to be plugged, and, you know, if we do that, we think that over time, working together, some of these things, you know, can be solved.
That is our interview on the program this week. There'll be another episode same time next week. But don't forget that you can watch these and past episodes on our YouTube channel. Do also feel free to interact with me via email, Facebook, or Twitter. I'm Shala Sheili. Thank you for watching.